Shalom, everyone. Quick refresher on the proper way to put on tefillin. When putting on tefillin in the morning, you begin actually with the putting on of your talit. So we'll begin with that. The bracha, if you don't know it by heart, is generally conveniently located on the top of your atara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef batzitzit. In placing the talit upon ourselves, we envelop ourselves in a manner that is called atifa derech ha'ishmaelim in rabbinic literature. It's sort of the wrapping that you would find in desert communities, in populations where they were trying to protect themselves. But the idea is also the idea of being enveloped by the presence of God. We then begin the process of putting on our tefillin. You should roll up the sleeve on your weaker arm. So if you're right-handed, you would put tefillin on your left arm. If you are left-handed, you would put tefillin on your right arm. I'm going to demonstrate the correct way to do it for right-handed individuals who are placing tefillin on their left arm. We'll have a follow-up for the opposite arm. We reach into our tefillin bag and we remove the tefillah, that's singular for tefillin, for the yad. Generally, most of the boxes that contain them have a labeling. So you take the shel yad and you unwrap it. And you want to place the tefillah in such a manner that the ma'avarta, the area where the tefillin strap goes through, is facing upward toward the upper part of your arm, and the knot is on the right hand side as you are looking at your tefillin. And then you slide the tefillah up your arm and you turn it so that the bayit, the housing which contains the parchment, is tilted inward toward the heart. And before you begin to tighten and wrap your tefillah and the ritzuah, the black strap, it's at this point that you would say the bracha, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahaniach tefillin. You're then going to put one wrap above your elbow. That just helps keep things taut and in position. And then there are 7 wraps that go between your elbow and your wrist. One custom is to recite a verse from the Tanakh that has 7 words in it as a way of doing the counting. So conveniently, there's a passage in Ashrei that mentions the hand. And so, Poteach et yadecha umazbia lechol chai ratzon. Okay. Then you come across the back of your hand. And the rest of the ritzuah for now is just going to get wrapped around the center of your hand. And just tuck the end in to keep things from unraveling. The trick, and this takes some practice, is wrapping the ritzuah around your arm tight enough so that it doesn't come sliding off, but not too tight so that your arm doesn't come sliding off. When I was in high school, after Minyan, I went to a Jewish day school. If you went to the cafeteria after Minyan and you held up your arm and you showed them the stripes where your ritzuah had been, you got a free breakfast. It was a great way to incentivize us to wake up a little earlier. I'm also going to, at this point, if I haven't done so already, remove any rings from my fingers. There's not supposed to be any separation between the ritzuah that I'm eventually going to wrap around my fingers and my hand, my skin. We reach back into our tefillin bag and we remove the tefillah shel rosh. And we unwrap it. We notice that the tefillah shel rosh is set so that there is a loop. That loop will go on our head, and there's a knot at the back. The knot is adjustable. Please consult with your rabbi before you start adjusting it, but it's designed so that the tefillah can be adjusted to the appropriate head size. We pick up the tefillah so that our fingers are inside the loop, and I usually put my thumbs out here to hold the straps a little bit out of the way. We go to put the tefillah, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Kitshanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Al Mitzvat Tefillin. You'll notice that the tefillah is sitting fairly high up. It is supposed to sit on your hairline or where your hairline previously had been. One of the descriptors in the Talmud is, and in the rabbinic literature, is the soft spot on a baby's skull, which just gives you an idea that it's not designed to be down here, even though we talk about them as a frontlet between the eyes. It actually sits much higher up, and the knot in the back sits in the little nook at the base of your cranium, at the base of your skull. There's a little nook in here, and that's where the knot goes. Once the tefillah is put in place, we add the line, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Lo'olam Va'ed. Some of you may recognize that as the line that we say silently after the first line of the Shema and before we continue the paragraph with the Ahavta. We return now to our hand, and in what is probably the most complicated part of this process, it is also the part that is most different in that many different minhagim exist on how you do this part. I'm going to show you the way that I was taught and the minhag of my ancestors, if you will. But understand that you may know a different one. Okay. We unwrap the ritzuah that goes across the back of our hand, then comes underneath. We come over the top of our middle finger. And there's a verse that we recite that accompanies the wraps that we do on our finger. It's a verse from Hosea. Ve'erastich li le'olam, ve'erastich li b'tzedek uv'mishpat. And you'll notice that I've crossed over the ritzuah so that we have what looks like an X shape. And then the final one goes around our two middle fingers. Ve'erastich li be'emunah v'yada'at et Adonai. We come across the back of our hand and we now have what looks like the shape of a V. We come down the center and we have the letter Shin. And the extra just gets wrapped carefully around the center, and then we tuck in the end. If you have a lot of extra, you may have to tuck it in a couple of times. And we are now ready for tefillah, for prayer. There's a lot of symbolism built into the tefillin that we wear, but that is for another day.